Hello and welcome to the third episode of How to Be Fine with myself, Tom Carter. It's a pleasure having you as always, and today a bit of a weird one in the sense that we are doing an update on the issue surrounding the pandemic that I'm sure you've heard of, the coronavirus. So before we get started with today's episode, I'd like to address the lack of content, I guess, for the show last month. This is because actually I'm not trying to make excuses, but my university has been on strike and all my equipment has been up here, so I just haven't been able to make the episodes and produce content on the basis that regularity that I would like to. So firstly, that's a big apology from me. And now we have this brand new thing to worry about. I thought the strikes are coming to an end and my life was going to go back to some relative normality, but we do have to now discuss the coronavirus because, of course, it's such a huge, mega, global issue that we really should be discussing and should be talking about. So first up, my university announced literally a couple of hours ago, if that they are going to be cancelling lectures. Many universities across the country doing the exact same thing, taking these measures, going remote as it's being called, so like virtual learning. We're going to be doing that from now until the end of the month, and then that will obviously take us into Easter holidays, so a bit of reprieve. But this poses a bit of an issue for me with my show, not just because I'm in crippling student debt and I and I really need to try and get some financial gain out of these lessons that are no longer happening, but for the show, which I absolutely love, and I'm happy that you guys are enjoying, and thank you, of course, always for your support and listening on the last two episodes. I feel like it's going to be difficult for me to get guests on the show and try and liaise with people because of this whole craze that has engulfed the world. I mean, you know, the coronavirus is something, obviously, I'm a young guy, that I have never experienced before. It's something that no one, even people that are comparing it to the times of, you know, of war in the 1900s, this is an unbelievable, unprecedented time that we're living in. And to those people that go, oh, it's just a cold, it's really not. Look at all of the medical advice, it really isn't just a cold. Therefore, it's going to have a lot of impacts. And one of those impacts is this idea of self-isolation, only taking necessary travel. These are all things that are being implemented now. I mean, obviously, it's been going on in other countries for a couple of months, but here in the UK, with the Prime Minister has been making statements today and over the last week about these kind of extended efforts to contain and delay the coronavirus spread. And this, I know it sounds quite self-centered to say, well, what's going to happen to my show? But what is going to happen to it? I'm going to try and make it as often as possible, as I've always said. But it is just another situation where it's out of my control. It may just be me talking similar to how we've done it, and I might have to start the guests coming on the show and the panel aspect, that kind of round table discussion that I really want to get going. That may have to delay, because everything has to delay. You know, this is something that, like I said, it's so unprecedented. No one actually knows any time frames. It creates a lot of uncertainty and worry, and I just think that I wanted to update you guys and say, well, actually, I'm doing my best in terms of getting content out, and I feel like it's actually, well, it may provide a great time to make some content and get some things done in terms of show related releases. On the point I just made, talking about this worry and this anxiety that's going around, this is a really, really big issue. And I know that a lot of people, maybe even some listening, will have anxiety with this coronavirus going on. Not necessarily, you know, that they're going to catch it, but it's affecting so many people. And it is an airborne virus. It's something that only, you know, even good hygiene can not protect you from. I think it's something that we have to pull together in times like this to make sure we're being supportive with everyone. Because people, you know, in terms when it comes to health, it's such a muddy issue for both mental and physical health, and so serious that I think that we should really make it not just a national or global, but a personal effort to support those that are really struggling with it. But I hope that for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to give some tips and things. Obviously, I'm not a medical professional, so don't trust me, but I have taken these from NHS advice and from government statements as well. I think the ones that everybody knows by now, people are sick of hearing about it, but wash your hands. I don't know why this is new information. I remember when this first kind of started, this whole coronavirus media storm, and people were like, we have to wash our hands more. Wait, you should have been washing them in the first place. I mean, that to me will never, ever be answered in terms of craziness. But yeah, I don't know why this is not a new thing. Wash your hands. Do it well, thoroughly. Wash your hands. Sing happy birthday twice, I think is what people said to do. But just keep your hygiene levels well. And as of today, the Prime Minister, as I said, made a statement only an hour ago, talking about only necessary travel, this idea of social distancing. It's incredibly difficult, especially when people have to travel to work, etc. So it poses many problems and many issues, but yeah, only travel if you feel it's necessary. And who knows what's going to come with the UK in terms of lockdown scenarios, and just like other countries in Europe and across the world have done. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with travel, with isolation? We simply don't know. So don't take my word for it, but just make sure if you do struggle with this kind of thing in terms of anxiety about your health, about the entire situation, because it is a scary situation. Like I said, I've had certain stresses about it. I think that the best thing to do is stick to the medical advice, stick to the expert advice, and then hopefully those anxiety and nerves should kind of not just go away, but they should be helped. And a big help, something I can talk about, very, very experience related, is social media. Stay off social media if you have bad mental health anyway, but your usage rate should definitely not increase as a result of this. Now, I do a degree in journalism, and tomorrow I've got a Newsday virtual remote lesson thing where all we're literally talking about is coronavirus. So I'm not practicing what I preach in that regard. But in terms of social media, it's really easy to get encapsulated in the elements that are a media storm, because I think the media is doing good reporting of it on a whole basis, you know, if you're looking at the media as a single entity. But I think that with social media there comes so much within all, like, the jokes and the advice and the statements from the politicians and Trump and this, that, and everything, it all kind of becomes a big blur. And that can be a worrying blur that, you know, if you're trying to tackle it head on, you could look at it like that and say that, oh my God, this is literally like Armageddon. Do not panic. And the best way to not panic is by staying off social media, because social media also opens the grounds for so much disinformation. There's so much fake news on social media, especially my studies have shown that more than you would believe. But there is so much on there. Please take my word for it. Do not buy into half of it. Make sure you're checking your sources, and don't let, you know, like, other people that are also saying, oh, it's just a cold, it's just a fever, just get on with your lives as normal. No, follow expert advice. Those are the old armchair expert. Unfortunately, social media facilitates the armchair expert. Therefore, we should cut down our usage of it in general anyway. If we listen to the Valentine's Day podcast, you know for a fact I don't like social media as a concept, because it causes many detrimental things for many people. But I think in these incredibly frightening times and uncertain times for many people, just if you're struggling with it and you're nervous about, you know, the context of the day, then do not go to social media for your answer. You will not find it. It will not be on there. Well, I hope that this has kind of helped. I know this isn't really a real episode. I mean, I'm going on radio on a station called Demon FM, which is my local uni radio station. You can listen to me. I'm on there from 8 till 9 p.m. this evening, because I'm stressing trying to get everything sorted out in terms of travel and studies and everything else that's going on in my life. But yeah, I hope that this update has provided quite a quick explanation as to what's going to happen. I'll keep you guys posted on social media, so be sure to follow that. So for the show, that's at How to Be Fine Podcast, and you can follow me personally at Tom Carter Brand. If you have any questions or things, please do let me know. Any comments, your support on the previous episodes, like I've said, has been so fantastic. So overall, let's just recap. I would say let's all just stay safe, but most importantly, let's stay safe together. Let's be in this together, because this big whirlwind, this big mess, whatever you want to call it, just a fever, just a cold, or a global pandemic, which it actually is, we've all got to be together in this situation. We have to help one another. The panic buying, let's be considerate of people's feelings, and self-isolation for many people is horrific. Families being separated, like, there is so many things that are tragedies. Ultimately, these will become, and are for many people, tragic times with the deaths and things I don't really want to go into. But I just think that this is such a time for the nation and the world to come together, and even us on a personal level, and say that actually, yeah, we should stick together with this, and we'll get through these turbulent times, because human life has to. But you have to go on. So wash your hands. Only travel if necessary. And of course, if I don't talk to you, have a great day and an even better tomorrow. Thank you so much.